it's Martin Penner with WFP, and I've got some more questions to answer from social media. The first one is from UNA UK. They're asking about reports in the newspapers that new arrivals in Dadaab are finding it harder and harder to get help quickly. Well, there's a certain amount of truth in this because, as we've been saying, there are a lot more people arriving here recently. Families are coming over from the border in much larger numbers, and this means that the system is obviously slowing down a bit because it was built to take a certain number. But we have made adjustments. For instance, to begin with, the system was that a person would get registered as a refugee and then they would start to get food aid packages. We've changed that now so that as soon as they arrive, they get some food that tides them over until they can get through the registration process, which sometimes takes a few days or even a week. Okay, the next question from Christina Matogo. She's asking at what person, no she isn't, she's asking at what point a person can be said to be acutely malnourished. Well, there are many factors that go into this. You look at stunting, how high a person is compared to how old they are. You look at how much they weigh, their body mass. You look at symptoms like wasting. But one of the methods that they use here to judge fairly quickly whether a child is malnourished is they get one of those coloured paper bands. You've probably seen pictures of them that you put around the upper arm of the child and you measure the distance around here. And if the distance is less than if it's less than 11.5 centimetres around here, then that means that that child is severely malnourished and needs some serious attention. Melissa Elliott is asking, are there any estimates from WFP as to how long the situation will continue, and how can you transition people to go back to where they've come from? Well, Melissa, I have to say there's no quick solution to this. People are coming over here because there's famine in southern Somalia. There's also conflict. The famine, the drought is so bad that a lot of the people who their livelihood is as pastoralists, they have animals and that's their way of life. And they're all telling me that all the animals are dead, so they've lost their livelihoods. There's no way they can go back. They've got nothing to go back to. And remember, Dadaab camp has been here for a long time, and there are people that have grown up, that have been born here and grown up here. So Somalia, southern Somalia at the moment, is not really somewhere that people can be sent back to. A question here from Mariana Petrova Martin. She's saying, isn't it possible to have people taken from the border to Dadaab with some sort of vehicles so they can get there quicker? Well, yeah, that's a very logical suggestion to make, except that unfortunately that area around the border, the border with Somalia, between here and the border, is actually quite dangerous. It's dangerous for the refugees who are coming, and it's also dangerous for UN workers and aid workers. So I'm afraid for now that isn't an option. And finally, a question from Susan Gayton. She's saying, she has a friend who says that too much of the money given to NGOs goes to the country's government before it gets to the people who need it. Well, this accusation has been going around for a long time, I must admit, but there are a couple of things to clarify. One is that WFP isn't really an NGO. A lot of our money comes from governments. They give it to us, as well as the people like you, the general public. And we have food monitors, what they're called food aid monitors, that watch the process all along the way. There are very strict checks and controls in place to see what happens to the money, what happens to the food, and make sure that the food gets to the right people. And WFP does a pretty good job of this. Okay, that's it for today. I'll be back with more questions tomorrow.